Admiral Zixthara's 4 eyes were focused on the daily reports when every alarm in the command center started screaming at once. The sound was so loud that several junior officers dropped their data tablets. The Admiral had served in the Galactic Empire's Navy for over 200 years, and he had never heard every single alert system go off at the same time. "What is happening?" he demanded, his tentacles gripping the edge of his command chair. Lieutenant Korb's hands were shaking as she worked her console. "Sir, something just broke through the Nexus barrier." The Admiral felt his blood turn cold. The Nexus barrier was impossible to break. It had protected the Galactic Empire for 3,000 years. The barrier surrounded the entire center of the galaxy like a giant invisible wall. Only ships with special Imperial codes could pass through at the approved entry points. No one had ever broken through the barrier itself. "Check your sensors again," the Admiral ordered. "There must be a mistake." "I have checked them 5 times, sir. The readings are correct." An unknown ship came through the barrier in Sector 779. It appeared from nowhere and is now drifting in prohibited space. Admiral Zixthara stood up so fast that his chair spun around. He walked quickly to the main display screen. The massive screen showed a map of their territory. A bright red dot was blinking in an area where no ship should be able to exist. "Show me the sensor data," he said. The screen changed to show energy readings and scan results. The Admiral studied the information carefully. The ship that had broken through was small. It looked like a basic cruiser, nothing special. But the energy pattern it had left behind was completely unknown. The ship's design did not match any species in the Imperial database. "How big is it?" the Admiral asked. "About 600 meters long, sir." "Much smaller than our battleships." The Admiral felt confused. A small ship had done what the greatest scientists in the galaxy said was impossible. How could a simple cruiser break through a barrier that had stopped entire fleets? "Get me a direct line to Imperial Command," he ordered. "Send emergency alerts to all nearby fleets. I want every available ship moving to that location immediately." Within minutes, the news was spreading across the Empire. Emergency meetings started on 12 different worlds. The High Council was called into session for the first time in 50 years. Military commanders who had been enjoying peaceful careers suddenly found themselves planning for something they had never imagined. The unknown ship was not moving. It appeared to be dead in space, floating quietly in the dark. Its engines were cold, and it was not responding to any communication attempts. But the mere fact that it existed in that location was enough to cause panic throughout the Empire. Admiral Zixthara received a direct call from Grand Admiral Helix, the supreme commander of all Imperial forces. Helix was a being of few words, but his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Admiral," Helix said through the communication system, "you are to investigate this vessel immediately. Take your fastest ships and find out everything about it. The Empire needs answers." "Yes, sir." "Should I attempt to capture it?" "Be very careful. If one ship can break through the barrier, there might be more. We do not know what we are dealing with." Admiral Zixthara quickly gathered his best ships and crews. He chose the Imperial cruiser Dominance as his flagship, along with 4 heavy destroyers and a science vessel. They jumped to hyperspace and reached the location in less than an hour. When they arrived, the Admiral could see the unknown ship clearly for the first time. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The hull was made of some kind of metal that looked crude and simple. The ship's design was basic, with no elegant curves or artistic elements that marked advanced civilizations. It looked like something built quickly and cheaply. "Run a full scan," the Admiral ordered. "I want to know everything about that ship." The science officer worked at her station for several minutes before reporting back. "Sir, this is very strange." The ship appears to be made of iron and steel alloys with carbon fiber reinforcement. The engines are simple fusion rockets. The computer systems are using binary code. Binary code? The Admiral was surprised. No advanced species has used binary code for thousands of years. The technology appears to be at least 500 years behind our current level, sir. But somehow this primitive ship accomplished what our greatest minds say is impossible. The Admiral stared at the ship on his screen. Nothing made sense. The Nexus barrier had been designed by the greatest scientists in galactic history. It used quantum field manipulation to make faster-than-light travel impossible without the proper codes. The mathematics behind it were so complex that only a few beings in the entire galaxy truly understood how it worked. Yet this simple ship had passed through it like it was not even there. Are there any life signs? The Admiral asked. The ship appears to be abandoned, sir. I am detecting no active life support systems, but there are what appear to be bodies inside. The Admiral made his decision. Prepare a boarding party. We need to examine this ship and find out what species built it. Use full protective gear and scan everything before touching it. As the boarding shuttles prepared to launch, Admiral Zixthara felt a deep worry growing in his mind. If this unknown species could build ships that ignored the Empire's greatest defense, what else could they do? How many more ships might be out there? And most frightening of all, why had they come to Imperial space? The answers to these questions would change the galaxy forever. But for now, all the Admiral could do was wait and hope that his boarding teams would find something that made sense of this impossible situation. The Empire had always believed they were safe behind their great barrier. Today, that belief had been shattered by a single small ship. Commander Kethvar led the boarding party through the airlock of the unknown ship. He was the Empire's best investigator, skilled at examining alien technology and understanding foreign cultures. Behind him came 6 specialists, a scientist, a weapons expert, a computer analyst, a medical officer, and 2 security guards. The inside of the ship was dark and cold. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the metal walls. The air was thin but breathable. Everything about the ship felt different from Imperial vessels, where Imperial ships had smooth walls and elegant designs. This ship had exposed pipes, metal plates bolted together, and wires running along the ceiling. This construction is very primitive, said Dr. Zilani, the team scientist. But it is also very solid. They built this ship to last. The team moved carefully through narrow corridors. The ship was smaller inside than they had expected. Everything was designed to save space. The walls were covered with labels written in a language none of them could read. The writing used simple letters instead of the complex symbols most advanced species preferred. "Commander," called Tech Specialist Vorn from the computer room. "You need to see this." Kethvar found Vorn staring at a primitive computer terminal. The screen showed basic text displays and simple graphics. It looked like something from a museum. "This computer system is incredibly basic," Vorn explained. "But it is also very clever. They have done amazing things with simple technology. And I found something interesting in their data files." Vorn pressed some buttons, and the screen showed a star map. It was crude compared to Imperial navigation systems, but it was accurate. The map showed a solar system with 9 planets, located far outside Imperial space. "They call their home system Sol," Vorn continued. "Their planet is the 3rd one from their star. They call it Earth, and Commander, they call themselves humans." "Humans," Kethvar repeated slowly. "I have never heard of this species. Neither has anyone else. I checked the Imperial database. There is no record of humans anywhere in our files." The team continued exploring the ship. In the medical bay, Dr. Thess made disturbing discoveries. She found the bodies of 3 humans who had died when their ship broke through the barrier. The humans were bipedal, like many species, but they were built differently from most intelligent life. These beings are very strong, Dr. Thess reported. Their bones are dense, their muscles are thick, and their skin is tough. They appear to be designed for a harsh environment. Their brains are large but organized differently from most species we know. In the ship's main records room, the team found the ship's logbooks. Vorn worked for hours to translate the human language. What he found amazed and worried him. Commander, these humans had never seen the Nexus barrier before. They did not even know it existed. According to their logs, they were on an exploration mission. They detected energy readings from our galaxy and decided to investigate. How did they break through the barrier? Kethvar asked. They did not break through it, sir. They just flew through it. When their ship started having problems, they thought they were passing through a natural space phenomenon. They made repairs with spare parts and kept going. They treated the most powerful defense in galactic history like a minor inconvenience. Kethvar felt cold fear growing in his chest. What kind of species treats the Nexus barrier like bad weather? The ship's engineering section provided more disturbing answers. Chief Engineer Mox examined the human ship systems with growing amazement. The engines were simple fusion rockets, but they had been modified in ways that should not work. Commander, these humans are incredible engineers, Mox reported. Their technology is primitive, but they use it in ways no one else would think of. They have spare parts that were never meant to work together, but they made them work anyway. They fixed their ship with metal tape and improvised solutions. Metal tape? They call it duct tape. It appears to be a multi-purpose repair material. They have used it to fix everything from hull breaches to computer connections. It should not work, but somehow it does. The most frightening discovery came when Vorn finished translating the ship's communication logs. The humans had not come alone. Commander, this was not their only ship. According to their records, they sent exploration vessels in every direction from their home system. This ship was one of dozens. Kethvar felt his world changing. How many ships? At least 40, sir. Maybe more. They sent them to explore different parts of the galaxy. This ship was heading for the galactic core to study what they thought were interesting energy readings. Energy readings from the Imperial capital worlds, Kethvar realized. Yes, sir. And if this ship found us, the others might be looking for us too. The boarding party spent 6 hours examining every part of the human ship. Everything they learned made the situation more worrying. The humans were clearly intelligent and resourceful. They had built ships with primitive technology that could do things Imperial science said was impossible. They had explored space with a courage that amazed even experienced Imperial officers. But most disturbing of all, they seemed to be completely fearless. Their ship logs showed that they had flown into unknown space without knowing what they might find. They had risked their lives to satisfy their curiosity. They had treated the dangerous journey like an adventure. When the boarding party returned to the Imperial ships, Commander Kethvar immediately contacted Admiral Zixtara. Admiral, we had a serious problem. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They are primitive, but extremely clever. They are few in number, but very determined. And sir, there are more of them coming. How do you know? Because they always explore in groups. This ship was just the beginning. If we do not hear from more human ships soon, I will be very surprised. Admiral Zixtara was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Prepare a detailed report for Imperial Command. Include everything you have learned about these humans. And Commander, increase our patrols. If more ships are coming, we need to be ready. As Kethvar began writing his report, he could not stop thinking about the human ship. The humans had treated the galaxy's greatest defense like a simple obstacle to overcome. What would they do when they met the galaxy's greatest military force? He was afraid he was about to find out. 3 days after Commander Kefvar finished his report about the dead human ship, 17 new contacts appeared on Imperial sensors. Unlike the first vessel, these ships were very much alive. Their engines were running hot, their weapons were powered up, and they were moving fast toward Imperial space. Admiral Zixthara watched the tactical display with growing worry. The human ships had appeared at different points along the barrier, all within a few hours of each other. They moved in a loose formation that made no sense according to Imperial military doctrine. "They are not following any recognized attack pattern," reported Captain Drix, his tactical officer. "Their formation is chaotic. Some ships are moving alone, others in groups of 2 or 3. They appear to be making up their strategy as they go. Maybe they are not military vessels," the Admiral suggested hopefully. "Sir, I am reading multiple weapon signatures on each ship. Kinetic projectile systems, nuclear missiles, and some kind of explosive charges. These are definitely warships." Admiral Zixthara made his decision quickly. "Send Squadron 7 to intercept. Show them Imperial power. Maybe they will surrender when they see our superior technology." Squadron 7 consisted of 12 Imperial cruisers, each one larger and more advanced than any human ship. The Imperial vessels were beautiful works of art, with elegant curves and powerful energy weapons. They had never lost a battle. Captain Vexter commanded the squadron from the bridge of the Imperial cruiser supremacy. He was confident this would be an easy victory. The human ships looked primitive and poorly organized. The fight would probably be over before it began. "All ships move to intercept," Captain Vexter ordered. "Standard engagement formation. Show these primitives the power of the Empire." The Imperial squadron approached the human ships in perfect formation. Their energy weapons charged up, ready to deliver precise strikes that would disable the enemy vessels without destroying them completely. It was how civilized warfare was conducted. The human response was immediate and shocking. Instead of trying to escape or attempting to negotiate, they attacked instantly. But they did not attack the way any civilized species would fight. The lead human ship, barely half the size of an Imperial cruiser, accelerated directly toward the supremacy. Captain Vexter expected it to fire its weapons and then retreat. Instead, it fired everything at once while continuing to accelerate. "What are they doing?" Vexter demanded as nuclear missiles and solid metal. Projectiles filled the space around his ship. The human ship did not slow down. It fired every weapon it had, then rammed directly into the side of the supremacy. The impact destroyed the human ship completely, but it also tore a massive hole in the Imperial cruiser's hull. "Damage report," Vexter shouted as alarms screamed around him. "Hull breach on decks 4 through 7. We have lost main power to the port weapon systems." "Sir, that ship just committed suicide to damage us." The other human ships immediately exploited the confusion. They did not attack in formation or follow predictable patterns. Each ship seemed to be fighting its own private war. Some fired missiles from extreme range. Others closed to point-blank distance and used simple projectile weapons that punched through Imperial shields like they were not there. One human ship pretended to retreat, then suddenly turned around and fired a nuclear weapon at close range. The explosion damaged both ships, but the humans did not seem to care about their own safety. "They are insane," Captain Vexter reported to Admiral Zixthara. "They fight with no regard for their own lives. They use tactics that make no military sense." The battle lasted exactly 63 seconds. When it ended, Squadron 7 was retreating in confusion. 3 Imperial ships had been destroyed, and 5 more were badly damaged. The humans had lost 7 ships, but they had achieved something impossible. They had defeated Imperial forces in open combat. Admiral Zixthara, stared at the battle reports in disbelief. How did they do this? Sir, they do not fight like any species we know. They use their ships like weapons instead of protecting them. They sacrifice themselves to achieve tactical advantages. They treat warfare like a brawl instead of a science. An hour after the battle ended, the humans established communication with the Imperial fleet. The message came through captured Imperial communication equipment that the humans had somehow learned to operate. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earth Space Command vessel Defiant. You fired on our exploration ships without warning or provocation. We consider this an act of war. We are coming for our people, all of them. Stand down or get out of our way. Admiral Zixthara studied the image on his screen. Captain Chun was clearly human, bipedal, with strange hair covering her head and pale skin. Her eyes were hard and determined. She did not look afraid, even though she was facing the entire Imperial fleet. Captain Chun, this is Admiral Zixthara of the Galactic Empire. Your ships have entered prohibited space. Surrender immediately, and we will treat you with proper respect as prisoners of war. Captain Chun's expression did not change. Admiral, your people are holding the crew of the scout ship Horizon. We want them back. We also want to recover the bodies of our dead for proper burial. You can cooperate with us, or you can try to stop us. Your choice. You cannot defeat the Imperial fleet with a handful of primitive ships. Maybe not, Captain Chun admitted. But we will hurt you badly trying. And Admiral, we are not alone. Earth has many ships, and we take care of our own. The communication ended. Admiral Zixthara immediately contacted Imperial Command on the capital world. Grand Admiral Helix listened to his report in silence. Sir, these humans fight in ways we have never encountered. They are tactically unpredictable and strategically fearless. They appear to be willing to die to achieve their objectives. How many ships do they have? Grand Admiral Helix asked. Unknown, sir. But Captain Chun implied they have significant forces available. Very well. I am sending Battle Fleet Prime to your location. 300 ships should be sufficient to handle a few human vessels. If these primitives want a war, we will show them what Imperial power can accomplish. Admiral Zixthara felt relieved. Battle Fleet Prime was the Empire's most powerful force. 300 advanced warships against a few dozen human vessels would be a massacre. The humans would learn the price of challenging galactic civilization, but as he watched the human ships on his sensors, Admiral Zixthara could not shake a growing feeling of unease. The humans had already done several impossible things. They had broken through the Nexus barrier. They had defeated an Imperial squadron using primitive technology. They had shown no fear when facing overwhelming odds. What if they could do more impossible things? The Admiral tried to push the thought away, but it kept returning. These humans were different from any species the Empire had encountered. They seemed to believe that anything was possible if they were willing to pay the price for it. Soon, the Empire would learn if that belief was correct. Dr. Valthara had spent her entire career studying alien psychology. As the Empire's greatest expert on how different species think and behave, she had helped Imperial forces understand hundreds of civilizations. But the humans were different. They were a puzzle that kept getting more complicated the more she studied them. The Battle of Seoul had ended 3 days ago. Battle Fleet Prime, the Empire's greatest military force, had attacked the human home system with 300 advanced warships. They had expected to face a small defensive force of primitive ships. Instead, they had found 70 human vessels defending their home world. Supported by weapons platforms built from space junk and mining equipment, the battle should have been a massacre. The Imperial fleet had better technology, more ships, and thousands of years of military experience. Yet they had been defeated by converted civilian vessels and orbital defense. systems made from scrap metal. Dr. Velthara sat in her laboratory, reviewing combat recordings and psychological profiles. Around her, screens showed footage of human ships fighting against impossible odds. She watched human captains make decisions that defied all military logic, yet somehow worked. Computer, replay the final engagement of the Soul Battle, she ordered. The main screen showed the Imperial Dreadnought Eternal Glory, the Empire's most powerful warship, facing 3 human ships. The human vessels were tiny compared to the massive Imperial battleship. They should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, the humans attacked from 3 different directions at once. One ship fired nuclear missiles, while the other 2 close to knife-fighting range. When the Imperial ship tried to target one attacker, the others would strike from a different angle. The human ships worked together like a pack of predators hunting much larger prey. Computer, analyze the tactical decision-making patterns of the human commanders. The computer's voice was calm and mechanical. Human tactical decisions show 73% variance from established military doctrine. They consistently choose high-risk, high-reward strategies. They appear to view acceptable losses as any percentage less than 100%. Dr. Velthara frowned. Explain the last part. Human commanders appear willing to accept the total destruction of their forces if doing so accomplishes their objectives. This attitude is not found in any other species currently in the Imperial database. That was the key, Dr. Velthara realized. Every other species in the galaxy fought to win, but they also fought to survive. Humans fought to win regardless of whether they survived. It made them unpredictable and extremely dangerous. She opened her communication system and contacted Dr. Crindle, the Empire's leading military historian. His face appeared on her screen, showing the blue-scaled features of his Elonian. Dr. Velthara, I assume you are calling about the human problem? Yes, I need to understand their background. Where did this species come from? How did they develop such unusual psychological traits? Dr. Crindle's expression was troubled. I have been researching their home world. It is unlike any planet that has produced intelligent life in our experience. They call it Earth, and it appears to be what they themselves describe as a death world. Explain. Their planet is geologically active, with frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The weather includes violent storms, floods, droughts, and temperature extremes. The native life forms are often predatory and dangerous. Humans evolved in an environment where everything was trying to kill them. Dr. Velthara felt a chill run through her body. Most intelligent species evolved on stable, peaceful worlds where cooperation and careful thinking led to survival. The Empire's greatest civilizations came from planets where violence was rare and natural disasters were uncommon. There is more, Dr. Crindle continued. Humans have spent their entire history fighting each other. They have had thousands of wars, using increasingly destructive weapons. They have survived multiple extinction events, both natural and self-created. They have turned warfare into an art form. How is that possible? Species that fight constantly usually destroy themselves before they reach space. Humans appear to have an unusual ability to recover from disasters and learn from their mistakes. They call it adaptability. When something nearly destroys them, they become stronger. When they face impossible situations, they find ways to make the impossible work. Dr. Velthara began to understand why the humans were so effective. The Empire's species had evolved in peace and safety. They had advanced technology and sophisticated cultures, but they had forgotten how to deal with real danger. They fought like scientists conducting experiments, following rules and protocols. Humans fought like animals defending their young. They used every advantage, broke every rule, and refused to accept defeat, even when mathematics said they should lose. She spent the next 2 days studying human psychology and culture. What she found disturbed her more than any discovery in her career. Humans possessed what she termed impossible tenacity. They would continue fighting when any reasonable being would surrender. They would attempt solutions that should not work. They would sacrifice everything to protect what they valued. Most frightening of all, they appeared to be getting stronger. Each battle with Imperial forces taught them new lessons. They were adapting their technology, improving their tactics, and becoming more effective with every encounter. Dr. Velthara compiled her findings into a classified report for the High Council. The document was marked with the highest security levels and distributed only to the Empire's top leadership. Her conclusions were simple but terrifying. The Empire had become weak. 3,000 years of peace and prosperity had created a civilization that could build wonderful things, but could no longer defend them effectively. Imperial citizens were educated, cultured, and intelligent, but they had forgotten how to face real adversity. The humans reminded them that the universe was still a dangerous place. They showed that sometimes survival required breaking civilized rules and doing whatever it took to protect what mattered. The report's final section included Dr. Velthara's psychological profile of humanity. Humans possess what can only be described as weaponized stubbornness. They treat impossible problems as interesting puzzles. They respond to overwhelming odds by becoming angry rather than afraid. They have turned adversity into a source of strength rather than weakness. She concluded with a warning that would change the Empire forever. We have spent 3 millennia building the perfect cage to protect ourselves from the universe. The humans have reminded us that the universe does not respect our cage. We can either learn from them and become strong again, or we can watch our civilization slowly die from its own comfort. When the High Council read Dr. Velthara's report, they realized that the war with humanity was not really about territory or resources. It was about two completely different ideas of what intelligent life could be. The Empire represented order, stability, and careful progress. They had created a peaceful, advanced civilization by controlling their environment and eliminating uncertainty. Humanity represented chaos, adaptation, and survival at any cost. They had created a tough, resourceful civilization by embracing uncertainty and turning obstacles into opportunities. The question was, which approach would prove stronger when they met in open conflict? The answer would determine the future of the galaxy. Admiral Zixthar stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching human engineering teams work on the Nexus barrier generators. 6 months had passed since the Empire's formal surrender, and he still found it hard to believe how much had changed. The surrender had not come after a final battle or the capture of the Imperial capital. It had come when the High Council realized that fighting the humans was teaching them nothing, except how weak the Empire had become. Dr. Velthara's report had been the final proof that their civilization needed to change or slowly fade away. Admiral, called Captain Sarah Chun, approaching from the work area. She wore a simple blue uniform with captain's insignia, much different from the elaborate dress uniforms Imperial officers preferred. We have finished studying the barrier generator on this station. Your engineers did beautiful work building this system. Thank you, Captain. But I thought you were dismantling the barrier, not praising it. Captain Chun smiled, an expression that still seemed strange to the Admiral. Humans showed their emotions so openly, unlike most Imperial species who kept their feelings hidden. We are not dismantling it, Admiral. We are improving it. The Nexus barrier is an amazing piece of technology. It just needs some modifications to make it better. Admiral Zixthara felt confused. Better how? Your barrier keeps threats out, but it also keeps you isolated from the rest of the galaxy. Our modifications will allow it to selectively block hostile forces while permitting peaceful contact and trade. Think of it as a door that can tell the difference between friends and enemies. The Admiral watched the human engineers working alongside Imperial technicians. The two groups had learned to work together surprisingly well. The humans brought creativity and bold thinking, while the Imperial engineers contributed precision and advanced knowledge. Together, they accomplished things neither group could do alone. Captain Chun, may I ask you something? Of course. Why did your people not conquer us? You had defeated our fleets. You could have demanded surrender and tribute. Instead, you offered partnership and cooperation. I do not understand. Captain Chun looked thoughtful for a moment. Admiral, conquest was never our goal. We came here looking for knowledge and new experiences. When you attacked our ships, we fought back to protect ourselves and rescue our people. But we never wanted to rule over anyone. But you had the power to take control of our worlds. Power without purpose is meaningless, Admiral. We learned that lesson the hard way in our own history. Besides, conquering you would have made us enemies forever. Working with you makes us stronger together. Admiral Zixthara had heard this explanation before, but he still struggled to understand it. In his experience, stronger species always dominated weaker ones. That was the natural order of things. The humans seemed to believe in a different natural order. Report from the High Council meeting, announced Lieutenant Korb, approaching with a data tablet. The Galactic Council has approved the new security structure. Humans will have a permanent seat on the Defense Committee. Captain Chun nodded. What about the Exploration Initiative? Approved as well. Joint human Imperial exploration fleets will begin mapping the outer galaxy next month. The Council is particularly interested in the human philosophy of boldly going where no one has gone before. Admiral Zixthara could not help but be impressed by how quickly things were changing. The humans had not just defeated the Empire militarily. They had inspired it to become something better. Imperial citizens were signing up for human-style exploration missions. Imperial scientists were learning human problem-solving techniques. Imperial military academies were teaching human tactical doctrines alongside traditional methods. Admiral, Captain Chun said, I have a question for you now. Dr. Veltharas, psychological reports suggest that Imperial species are highly intelligent and capable. Why did your civilizations become so risk-averse? Admiral Zixthara considered the question carefully. I think we became afraid of losing what we had built. Our ancestors struggled and fought to create advanced civilizations. We wanted to protect those achievements, so we built walls and barriers. We made safety our highest priority. And that made you safe, but weak. Yes, we forgot that strength comes from facing challenges, not avoiding them. Captain Chen gestured toward the human and Imperial engineers working together. That is why we need each other. You have knowledge and wisdom that we lack. We have the willingness to take risks that you have forgotten. Together, we can explore the galaxy safely and effectively. 3 days later, Admiral Zixthara attended the dedication ceremony for the first joint human Imperial exploration vessel. The ship was called the Pioneer, and it represented everything the new partnership could achieve. It used Imperial technology for efficiency and safety, combined with human innovation and adaptability. Dr. Velthara spoke at the ceremony, addressing representatives from dozens of species. 6 months ago, we thought the Nexus barrier made us safe. We learned that true safety comes not from hiding from the unknown, but from being strong enough to face it. She gestured toward the Pioneer. This ship represents a new philosophy for our galaxy. We will not hide behind barriers, waiting for threats to find ways around our defenses. We will go out into the universe, find the challenges before they find us, and meet them with confidence and strength. Admiral Zixthara found himself thinking about the human ship that had started everything. The small vessel that had accidentally punched through the Nexus barrier was now displayed in the Imperial Museum. The plaque beside it read, "To the day we learned that the most dangerous thing in the universe is not superior technology or overwhelming force, but someone who refuses to believe something cannot be done." The museum also displayed a piece of human duct tape with the explanation, "Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones that work, not the elegant ones that look impressive." As the ceremony continued, Admiral Zixthara received a message on his communication device. It was from Grand Admiral Helix, now serving as coordinator of the new Joint Military Command. "Admiral, we have received a signal from the edge of the galaxy. An unknown species is approaching Imperial space. They appear hostile and have advanced technology we do not recognize." Admiral Zixthara felt his old fear returning. In the past, such news would have caused panic throughout the Empire. But now, things were different. "What are Captain Chun's orders?" he asked. "She suggests we go meet them halfway. She says it is time to find out what else is out there and show them that this galaxy is protected by beings who do not give up easily." Admiral Zixthara smiled, an expression he had learned from watching humans. "Prepare the fleet. It appears we have work to do." As Imperial and human ships began launching from stations throughout the galaxy, Admiral Zixthara reflected on how much had changed. The Empire no longer hid behind barriers, hoping threats would go away. They faced the unknown with confidence, knowing they had the strength to handle whatever they found. The humans had not conquered the galaxy. They had taught it to be brave again. They had reminded everyone that the universe was full of wonders waiting to be discovered by those bold enough to go looking for them. And in the depths of space, more human ships continued their eternal mission, exploring strange new worlds, seeking out new life and new civilizations, and proving that impossible was just another word for something that had not been tried hard enough yet.